This was a week with two big wins. The first win was that Poshmark wasn't as sucky as it had been. I mean, it was still not amazing. But thanks to a couple larger sales, I did okay over on Poshmark. And secondly, my website outperformed eBay, even though I didn't do any sort of drop or anything this particular week. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller on a bunch of different platforms, including my own website, shopbeckypark.com, which you're going to hear about in today's What Sold video because I did pretty okay over on my website. It was really exciting to see that. But in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you everything that sold for me over the span of 1 week, as well as information about each sale, so that you're equipped with a little bit more knowledge about what brands, what trends, what items are selling well, at least for me, you know, a random part-time reseller here in the Midwest. So if that sounds interesting to you and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because that's how you can let YouTube know, hey, every time this girl uploads new stuff, please tell me about it. So let's jump right in, and we're gonna start by talking about Monday, which was April 3rd. The week started off very modestly, just like a sale a day. We even had a $0 sales day. But on Monday the 3rd, I sold on Poshmark this vintage Lee Sport Minnesota Twins fleece. It was a quarter zip pullover in a size 2XL for men. Even though every time you list something that's specific to like a team, you kind of narrow down the group of people who are looking for that item because you're really narrowing it down to whoever, you know, roots for this particular team. I always find that these items do end up selling, and this was no exception. It wasn't even listed for that long. It sold for $20 on Poshmark. That was an offer that someone sent me. I only had $2 into it because I got it from a fellow reseller who reached out and said, hey, I've been reselling for a year and I learned that I hate selling clothes. Would you like to buy all of my clothes off of me? And I was like, sure. So I got stuff like this and other things that I've been talking about in prior What Sold videos. So after my $2 cost of goods and Poshmark's fees, my profit on that pullover was $14. On Tuesday, which was April 4th, on Poshmark, I sold this Madewell blue and white striped pair of linen blend wide leg pull-on pants in a size extra small. These were actually something that I had thrifted maybe at like a Plato's Closet, maybe a couple years ago, and I actually got them for myself. And I did wear them, but I don't know, I never really liked how they looked on me, and so I finally just went ahead and listed them instead of having to bring them to my new house that we're living in now, and they sold fairly quickly. They sold for $17, and I didn't even list them for that high because there were like a couple small stains on the pants, so I made a net profit of $13.60. I do love selling things that I myself have worn, and I feel like those pieces are gradually worth more and more as the years go on because I'm no longer wearing, you know, as much fast fashion as I used to, because as I learn more about what brands are good and about what brands are more sustainable, those are the brands that I tend to wear now, and I tend to buy clothes at thrift stores, consignment stores, Plato's Closet, places like that. So it's kind of cool to have so little into the clothes that I now wear, but to be able to sell them for more than I used to when I was spending more money on crappy clothes. The next day of sales that we'll talk about is Wednesday, which is April 5th. On Poshmark, I sold this pair of Earth Spirit black leather Astrid fisherman slip-on sandals in a size 9. These sold for $25. I had $3.39 into them from a local thrift store. It wasn't like a Goodwill, but just a nice little local thrift store. And so I made a net profit of $14.59 on those because I did offer discounted shipping. That was a sale made through Posh VA, which is a Google Chrome extension, and it does things for me like share my Poshmark closet. It will send out offers to likers for me 5 minutes after someone likes an item. And when you send an offer to a liker, you have to attach a shipping discount to it. So that's what Posh VA did for me, and I made the sale. Earth Spirit is a brand that, you know, some resellers have said they have really good luck with. I picked up 2 pairs of shoes by this brand at this local thrift store. I was not impressed with my results, so I'll probably continue to leave that brand behind from now on. And also I picked this particular pair up because I've had good luck in the past with this like fisherman style of sandal. That didn't super help this pair of shoes, however. I sat on them for a decent amount of time and, you know, my profit was okay, but I don't know. I didn't get a lot of attention on these shoes. Not really a brand that I think I'll be picking up in the future. On Thursday, April 6th, I made no sales, but the weekend is where things picked up quite a bit, and I was very thankful for that. So on Friday, which was April 7th, on Poshmark, I had a really great sale. It was this pair of Jaded Gypsy blue striped spiral cluster denim cargo pants in a size small medium. Jaded Gypsy is a brand made in LA, I believe, and it's a very interesting brand. I don't know. It's very kind of like artsy fartsy. I always kind of use the word login look to describe it because it's always kind of like loose and oversized looking. They never commit to one size. Like you won't really find Jaded Gypsy in a size medium or in a size 4. It's always like small/medium because like I said, it's just very relaxed. This particular pair of pants I found at a local, like a pop-up consignment sale that happens twice a year in my town. And so on that particular shopping trip, my average cost of goods was $10.05. These sold for $63, and so I made a net profit of $40.35. I always have really good luck with this brand. I also only ever find this brand at this pop-up consignment sale because there's obviously someone who consigns at the sale that buys a lot of it and then sells a lot of it at the sale. So that's one of the reasons I love going to this sale year after year is because I know I'm gonna find some great brands like Jaded Gypsy. But I've also seen from some of you on Instagram who tag me when you find this brand that you're finding it out in the wild. You know, you're finding it at the bins and at Goodwills and stuff. So that's not to say you have to live where I live and go to this pop-up consignment sale the way that I do to find this brand. People are finding it all over the place, and I imagine you would find it more in California where it's made and where maybe they have like their own brick and mortar. I don't really remember how that works, but it's a good brand. Be on the lookout for it. The next item that sold was over on eBay, and it was a new to me brand. The brand was NN07, no nationality. That's what it said on the tag. I was very intrigued by it because I found it at a Goodwill about an hour and a half away from me. I was there while I had some students rehearsing for like a festival that they were going to be performing in later that evening. And so while they were rehearsing, I went thrifting and I found this section at that particular Goodwill of just like higher end men's clothing. It was a lot of brands that I knew like John Varvatos and Theory, but also brands that I had never heard of. And so it was a really great chance to pick up some of these newer to me brands and just learn about them through the experience of listing and selling them. This was definitely one of those brands. I did pay $12.99 for it because it was made of 100% linen. It was the Devon style and it was just like a very clean white color and it was like a button-up shirt but with no collar. So it was just very interesting and that's why I was like, sure, I'll pay $12.99. I just want to see what happens. It sold for $33.99 on eBay. I believe I was running some sort of sale that day on eBay. So I made a net profit of $14.85. There were not a lot of comps for this brand. I couldn't find a lot of information for it, but if I ever found it again, I do think that I would pick it up again and sell it. The next thing to sell was over on my website, which is shopbeckypark.com, and it was by the brand Liquid Blue. It was this black Grateful Dead rock band graphic skull t-shirt in a size large. That sold for $19.95 to Nancy. I had $4.99 into it from a Goodwill, I think by where my mother-in-law lives, I believe. And so I made a net profit of $9.93. So Nancy, thank you so much. I hope you love this shirt. You are amazing. So if you didn't know, I have a website. It is shopbeckypark.com. And the purpose of having that website, well, there's two reasons. One is by having your own website, you pay a lot less in fees because, you know, when you think about why am I giving Poshmark 20%? Why am I giving eBay the amount that I give eBay in fees and then paying for promoted listings and, you know, doing all these different things? You're paying these different reselling platforms because they're doing a lot of marketing on your behalf and they're bringing an audience to you. That's their marketing, right? So with your own website, you don't have any of that. You don't have all of the great tools that Poshmark and eBay have in terms of bringing all of these people to your listings. You have to bring all those people to your listings yourself. And so I have had a lot of people reach out on Instagram and YouTube and whatnot and ask me, is it worth it having your own site? It's a lot of work, and if you don't really have have a big social media following, I personally think that it would be hard to make sales. I know I'm not making a ton of sales, and it's not like I have the largest social media following by any means, but I have one. And even with that, you know, it's not like I make a ton of sales over on my website. But I do think it's worth it to have, you know, a different platform through which you can sell items at maybe what you deem a more fair price, because you're not going to be paying as much in fees as you do on other platforms. And so you can pass those savings on to the people who visit your website. So that's one of the reasons. And then the second reason why I like having my own website is because that website to me represents more of who I am as a person. I've talked in previous What Sold videos about how I will list anything and everything on all of my platforms as long as it'll make me money. Even if I don't think it's cute, even if I never in my wildest dreams would wear it myself because I think it's really ugly or hideous, I will list it if I feel like it's going to make me money. However, on my website, I decided it'd be a really cool place to showcase my style and the things that I find to be really cool, the things that are within my aesthetic, just things that I'm really excited about. And so only those pieces go on my website. So I like that it's a place where I can kind of express myself, if that makes sense. And I like that it's a place where I can offer pieces for cheaper than I would on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, what have you. And I offer free shipping. So if you want to check it out, I would be honored, but please do not feel pressured to make any purchases or anything like that. It's just been a really cool experiment, but it is a lot of work. It's really hard. My website is through Shopify, and Shopify by no means is intuitive or simple to use. It's actually quite difficult in my opinion, but I just wanted to share those thoughts with you because I know a lot of people have asked me. So I'll share some more Shopify sales with you in the coming sales days that we're going to talk about. But on Saturday, which was April 8th, I had a couple Poshmark sales, and the first one was this vintage Walt Disney World button-down shirt in a size medium. It had like a little tiny Mickey Mouse on it, and that sold for $29. I got that from the reseller who didn't want to resell clothes anymore, so I had $2 into it. That was also a Posher VA sale, so I had discounted shipping with that. So I made a net profit of $19.18 on that shirt. I know a lot of people sell, especially vintage Disney stuff, for really good money. Disney stuff is just harder for me to move. I don't know why that is. I don't seem to sell it quite as quickly as other people or for quite as much, but I was happy with that sale. The next thing to sell was this pair of Show Me Your Moo red and white paisley shorts in a size large. Oh my gosh, I was so happy to move these. I got these like at least 2 years ago, maybe longer, but at least 2 years ago. I don't even remember where, but I had $4.92 into those. They sold for $22 with discounted shipping again because of Posher VA. By the way, if you want to try out Posher VA yourself, you can use my coupon code BECKYPARK and save 20% off of your first payment. I think it's just a really great way to be a little bit more hands-off when it comes to selling on Poshmark. So if you want to try it out, they also have a really good, I think it's like a 2-week free trial or something like that. Try it. If you don't love it, cancel, but I don't know what I would do without it at this point. I made a net profit on those shorts of $10.66. I don't get this brand. Some people love it. I don't even find it very often, but I usually just leave it behind when I do because, I don't know, it just does not do very well for me. On eBay, I sold this Polo Ralph Lauren blue USA large pony logo sweatshirt in a size large. You've heard me talk in What Sold videos about how much I have loved selling Polo Ralph Lauren for men. I got so much from a friend of mine who moved to another city not too long ago, and it was a brand that I just didn't know did this well until I was forced to list all of the stuff that my friend gave me, but it does really well. Now, this sweatshirt didn't do quite as well as some of the other pieces he gave me, but it still sold for $30. It was promoted at 3%, and after my $2 cost of goods and all those eBay fees, I made a net profit on that sweatshirt of $21.41. I had 3 more sales from my website. So the first one was a bundle sale. This person came over and bought 2 items. The first item was this Nautica North Coast Sailing Club Coast Cup Pullover quarter zip sweatshirt in a size extra large. That is a mouthful. There was a lot going on with this sweatshirt, but I just thought it was so cool. It was so preppy looking, so like 90s. This is something that I got from the reseller who didn't want to resell clothes anymore. There were actually some really great vintage men's pieces in there, and a lot of those I actually did put on my website. This one I had listed for $31.95, and so once you factor in my $2 cost of goods and the fact that I paid for shipping, I made a net profit on that top of $20.06. The other item that Michael purchased from me was this vintage Gap green 100% wool world classic Argyle sweater. It was in a men's size large, and this also was just super preppy. I loved this piece. I actually got it from my mother-in-law. I don't know where she got it. She finds some like really cool pieces randomly. I think people just like give her stuff and then she just gives it to me. I sold this on my website for $44.95. I think I had it listed everywhere else for like $65 because it was such a rare and unique piece that you can't just find anywhere. And so I made a net profit on that top of $35.06. So again, Michael, if you're watching, thank you so much, and I hope you love both pieces. The last piece to sell this week from my website sold to Stephanie, and I was so happy that this sold to her, especially because it actually sold before on eBay, but then that person never paid for it. And I thought this was such a cool piece too. This was by the brand Woolrich, which is kind of hit or miss for me, but what really made this piece stand out to me was the print. So it was like a brown Woolrich button-up shirt, but it had like all these deer on it. I don't know, it just really spoke to me. It was kind of like a hunting shirt, which I'm not a hunter. I don't like go out and do that kind of stuff, but I don't know, I really like this shirt. It was in a men's size medium. It sold for $34.95. I think I had it listed for like $50 on other platforms because again, I think it's pretty rare. I didn't see any of this same print actually online when I was researching and running comps. And it's another piece that I got from the reseller who didn't want to resell clothes anymore. So just some really great men's pieces in those boxes that I got from her. So I made a net profit on that shirt after my $2 cost of goods and after paying for shipping of $24.55. So Stephanie, thank you so much. I hope you love the shirt. It was so cool. And then on Sunday, which was April 9th, on Poshmark, I sold something to a viewer named Jennifer. Jennifer, thank you so much. It was this Talbot's gold full zip ruffle down filled puffer jacket in a size large. That sold for $80, and I picked it up at a Goodwill about an hour away. I was there for like a conference, and again, while my students rehearsed, I went out and thrifted. I paid $12.59 for that jacket. I used my closet clear out method on this, which means I saw that it had a like, so I reached out to people who had liked the item and I said, hey, if I drop the price of this item to blank amount, would you be interested in purchasing it? And you'll also get discounted shipping from Poshmark. And Jennifer was like, oh my gosh, like you're doing the closet clear out method on me. Like I would love to buy this from you. So that was kind of cool. And I made a net profit of $51.41 on that. So Jennifer, thank you so much. I hope you love the jacket. I thought it was really darling. And you all know how I feel about Talbots. I love it. I love picking it up. I love selling it. And this being like a down jacket, I thought that was a really good pickup. The next two sales were over on eBay. The first one being this Calvin Klein purple sleeveless dress in a women's size 14. It had all these like zipper accents all over it. You know, if I worked in business and I had to wear like these power dresses and whatever, I don't think I would wear dresses by Calvin Klein. They're just like a little too much for me, but I have been selling them like crazy, I feel like. So even though they're not for me, they sell pretty well. This one sold for $29.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers, and it was promoted at 3%. It was something that I got in a wholesale pallet from a reseller, so I had $3.92 into it, and I made a net profit of $18.24. I feel like I still can't really get myself to like buy Calvin Klein dresses at the thrift store. Like I should, you know, knowing how much they can go for. Also, usually they're priced a little too high for that, but if you can find them for really cheap, they usually sell for at least $25, but usually a little bit more than that. So even though I don't get it, even though it's not my style, it can make you some good money. The last sale that we'll talk about is another Polo Ralph Lauren item. It was this orange Caldwell short sleeve button-up shirt in a size large. I got this from the reseller who didn't want to resell clothes anymore, so I had $2 into it. It sold for $24.99, and it sold within hours of being listed on eBay. So I made a net profit of $19.11, and I made that sale basically instantaneously, which was wild to me. Like, look at the color of this shirt. I didn't think that this would sell that quickly. I thought I was gonna have to sit on it for quite some time. So those were my sales for the week. let's talk about numbers. On Poshmark, I sold 7 items for a gross sales amount of $256. Once you factor in Poshmark's fees, and I did offer discounted shipping on a lot of the items that sold this particular week, that total drops to $198.74. I had $34.95 into those 7 items, and so my net profit for the week was $163.79. On eBay, I sold 4 items, and that was for a gross sales amount of $118.88. Once you factor in platform fees, however, that total drops to $94.52. I had $20.91 as my cost of goods, and so my net profit for the week was $73.61. On my website, I also sold 4 items, but my gross sales amount was higher. It was $131.80. Once you factor in Shopify's fees and the fact that I paid for shipping on all 4 items, that total drops to $101.59. I only had $8.99 into those 4 items, so I made a net profit of $92.60, which is more than I made on eBay, which was really cool. And so in total, I sold 15 items for a gross sales amount of $506.68. Once you factor in shipping and all of the platform fees, that total drops to $394.85. My cost of goods for the week was $64.85, so my net profit was $330. It's been rough sales-wise, I feel like all of 2023, but that's okay. I'm really thankful to be able to, make money on the side, especially in really busy seasons of my life. Like, I didn't expect to move this year. I didn't expect to get COVID. I didn't even expect to travel as much as I have been. So it's been really nice in the midst of all that busyness to not have to do more for my reselling business, but to still make a steady side income, on the side of my full-time job as a high school choir teacher. I'm very thankful for that. And that's the reason that I have this YouTube channel, is to equip you with, whatever information and knowledge I've gained about reselling as a part-time reseller. I want to share that information with you so that perhaps you can change your life as well with just a steady side income that you don't have to pour too much time and energy into. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little something or two. And if you did, please don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.